It's all part of a complicated equation. The number of COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations dropping while the number of people being vaccinated quickly climbs. By the end of May, the president says there will be enough vaccine for every adult American who wants one. Signs of a return to normalcy. In Milwaukee, arenas and stadiums are welcoming back fans. Festivals are announcing summer comebacks, and capacity restrictions are being loosened. In other states, mask mandates are ending despite continued warnings.
I am really worried about reports that more states are rolling back the exact public health measures we have recommended to protect people from COVID-19.
Now we are going 360, providing in-depth perspective from people on all sides of the debate. We talked to festival organizers ready to welcome back vendors and fans this summer. The president of a service and hospitality union worried about workers coming back too soon. The CEO of the Pabst Theater Group, who is eager but not yet ready to rebound. And an emergency physician who walks us through the gamble of the return to live events. That's where we start.
I think throughout the pandemic, one of the things we've kind of done is when things looked better, we may have been a little bit too aggressive in our reopening. And then, we see these spikes and then, we do the worst case scenario, which is we change the rules again and say, hey, we opened everything up and now we got to tamper it back down.
Dr. Jeff Potoff with UW Health says it's not necessarily bad that more and more people are returning to public. The vaccine rollout in Wisconsin is underway. Hundreds of thousands of doses are being administered statewide each week. But he says the public should know that until 60 to 80% of the population is vaccinated, planning to be back in a crowd is risky.
Even though we can do some of these things, maybe with a little bit more freedom than we could, late fall, there's still risk in doing these things, especially for those who are unvaccinated.
Still, the Bucks have safely welcomed back thousands of fans, and the Brewers are approved to do the same on April 1st. Last week, 3 Milwaukee museums reopened their doors with new precautions. That success signals hope to festival organizers like Evan Maralszewski and Keith Galstead of the Milwaukee Polka Riot.
Our festival is very small. We're still kind of growing.
These folks have a lot more resources at their disposal to make that kind of a decision, and we should probably do what they do.
Linda Franzblau, who co-chairs the Morning Glory Art Fair held near Pfizer Forum in late August, is hopeful too after a year of cancellations.
We're home free. We're really not worried at all. I think we're very much looking at the vaccination.
But not all festival organizers are ready to return.
We've grown to 45,000 festival attendees.
Wes Shaver, president of Milwaukee Pride Incorporated, called off this year's Pride Fest in early January, a decision he says he does not regret.
Really understanding the disparities in health and wellness and accessibility to LGBTQ people.
He says not only does it not make financial sense to return now, but he says access to healthcare, vaccinations, and other resources for the LGBTQ community is a setback. And he says he can't justify bringing back this year's Milwaukee Pride Fest without more confidence in the health and safety of everyone.
To do it only halfway doesn't make sense.
Pabst Theater Group CEO Gary Witt applauds big organizations like the Bucks and Brewers for welcoming fans back, but he too says Pabst Theater isn't able to yet.
If I'm at 25% capacity, I'd have to talk every artist that wants to tour into taking a 75% reduction in what they're being paid.
He hopes to be back by late fall or early winter. Until then, he says current capacity limits and business models are not attractive to touring artists, and it's not feasible for them to make a full return despite already being approved for 25% capacity to host President Biden earlier this year.
You have to have more of a consistency of openings around the country in order for us to be able to be back at a level that, where we can actually host national and international artists.
And in the midst of the push to reopen and return to normal are the workers, the bartenders and servers, for example. I asked the president of the Milwaukee Area Service and Hospitality Union how the return to Bucks games and other mega events has gone over.
To date, with reopening, there has not been an issue with any potential compromises to workplace health and safety.
Still, he says, until we beat this pandemic, a full return to the workforce is not possible and the economy suffers.
We've got thousands and thousands of people who are unemployed and underemployed in this industry because places are hovering at 10, 25, 50% occupancy. So the solution here is to beat the pandemic so that we can reopen in full.
And everyone I talk to taking that step towards normalcy or choosing to wait says the number one priority needs to be beating the pandemic, which means following the advice of health experts with social distancing, mask wearing, and hand washing still essential. I'm Ryan Jenkins, TMJ4 News.